Good morning. Good morning, everybody. So good to see you. I want to welcome you to our worship service this morning. My name is Joan Montagnes, and I have the honor and privilege of serving all of you. And last count that I saw, there were about 89 of us and rising here at worship, and that's 89 screens. So we can say maybe 130 of us here. That's kind of cool. Well, a little note about Zoom worship. A little note is that we can't see or hear you. You can't see or hear each other. So, if you're in your jammies and drinking your cocoa, that's cool. You can hear and see Fran Manley, who is our worship associate this morning, and a bunch of guest stars, and you'll be able to see me. You'll also be able to chat with each other all the way through the service using the chat feature. I want to throw a big shout out to Josh Disick, John Petroselli, Karen Streech, Bobby Withrow, Paul Zanoli, and all our music staff who help create our worship experiences every single week. Some announcements for you, because what would church be without announcements? They do bind us together, yeah? All right, have a look at the newsletter or the e-blast for a survey about reopening. We want to know how you feel. What are you thinking about gathering in person again together? Now, I've got a few social justice announcements that are important. If you're interested in helping to get out the vote for this election, feel free to get involved with UU the Vote, right? The Unitarian Universalist ballot initiative, if you will. You can phone bank and text bank. That's new. If you go to the Get Involved button on the uuthevote.org page, so just text in dial in from your Google UU the Vote, and you'll be able to figure out how to get involved. From this afternoon through Monday night, they're going to be hitting Florida and Wisconsin voters. And for the rest of the week, it'll be Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Michigan, and Minnesota. So get involved. UU the Vote. The next social justice announcement is that our October Share the Plate partner, Prisoners Are People Too, has shared a list of people who are incarcerated in our state to whom, and they're asking us to write letters of encouragement and faith and hope to them. If you want to write a letter to someone who's incarcerated and needs just a little bit of a perk to keep it going, please contact Hi Corral for details and mailing addresses. I know that they'll appreciate not being forgotten. And another social justice announcement. This Friday, our partner, Voice Buffalo, is organizing an action near the Erie County Holding Center. And it'll be at 3:15 in the afternoon on Friday. The action will be a symbolic burial of the injustice that has occurred there and continues to occur there. The conditions are not good, and at least 27 people have died since our current sheriff took place in the holding center, many under extremely questionable circumstances. So if you want to turn out for that, 3:15 on Friday, wear your social justice vests, those yellow public witness vests, if you got them. And now, Fran has a special announcement.
Right. I expect many of you have been admiring this picture, which hangs over my right shoulder, because we're all kind of dreaming and hoping for the day when we can all be going through the West Ferry door again. But meanwhile, it's kind of nice to have a picture of it. And now you can have one. If you check this week's e-blast, you'll find information for how to go about ordering your very own copy of the West Ferry door. So do it.
It's for a good cause. It's part of our auction to support the church. And I want to just talk about Vespers for a second. It is still October, which means there is one last Vesper service at 7 o'clock on Friday night. We gather outside with masks on, bundled up against the Buffalo weather. And there it is, candlelight and poetry and music. This week our music is Martha Malkowitz and her contrabassoon, so that'll be lovely and wonderful. And so come on out, 7 o'clock Friday nights. It'd be great to see you. We may continue them into November, so keep your ears peeled. And the last announcement, you'll be happy to hear that it is the last announcement, is for a Zoom fellowship time, which happens after this service at 11:35. We will shut down this webinar where you can't see or hear each other and open up a meeting where you can see and hear each other, 11:35. You have to dial into that one or browse over to that one. The address for it will be hopefully in the chat somewhere. It will be on the last slide of this worship service and in your newsletter and your e-blast. If you do not get the e-blast, please get in touch with Ashley Mountain Castle because we want to keep you connected. That is enough announcing. Now let's take a bit of a breath. And let's worship.
The Reverend Peter Revel has reminded us that we build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves by fires we did not light. We sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. We drink from wells we did not dig. Together, we are more than any one person could be. Together, we can build across the generations. Together, we can renew our hope and faith in the life that is yet to unfold. Together, we can heed the call to a ministry of care and justice. Come, let us worship.
I always like to light a chalice, and we do that as a tradition. It's part of who we are. We've been lighting chalices since the middle of the Second World War together as a faith community to set apart a time as sacred and holy, apart from the mundane. So why don't you join me if you have a chalice and light it. Let's join in our chalice lighting affirmation words. We gather in loving community, inspiring one another to transform ourselves, to create a more just and compassionate world. Let's join in singing, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day, enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Once upon a time, there was a tree that stood in the middle of a village. Its trunk was so large that it took 6 people holding hands to reach all the way around it. Its roots were strong and wide, and its branches spread out over the village square, offering shelter from the rain or shade from the sun. Its fruit was juicy and sweet and plentiful. The people of the village loved the tree. Children played beneath it and climbed in its branches. Young people knew that if you whispered your dreams to the tree, the dreams were more likely to come true. People who proclaimed their love or friendship for one another beneath its branches found their relationships to be nourishing. And elders discovered that their sweetest memories could be counted on when they were near the great tree. The tree had been witness to so much that when the breezes blew through the leaves, one could hear echoes of generations, laughter, conversations, dreams, prayers, and songs. Animals loved the trees too. Rabbits lived in the burrows under the roots. Squirrels and monkeys lived in the branches, and bats and birds came to eat the abundant fruit. The tree just buzzed with life. Well, one day, a traveling merchant arrived in the village. He rested in the shade and ate 2 pieces of the delicious fruit. This fruit is incredible. I would like to have some of it to sell in the next villages that I visit. Who owns this tree? No one owns this tree, replied a villager. If anything, we belong to it. Well then, if no one owns the tree, then no one will mind if I pick the fruit. And he began to fill a basket. I mind, said the villager, and today I am keeper of the tree. What do you mean, keeper of the tree? We each take our turn being here with the tree. We are here as its protectors and sustainers. That's ridiculous. This tree doesn't need you. You can just take what you need. Take what you want. The tree will continue. But the villager couldn't be persuaded. Sir, this tree isn't like that. We don't come here to take from it, even though we receive much. We are keepers of the tree because this is where we are nourished. This is where some of our most precious memories are, and where our people have dreamed. This is where we remember who we want to become. Well, you may think this tree is very special, but it still doesn't need you to sit with it. That's preposterous. Ah, replied the villager. The tree itself may not need me, but what of the others who come by? Just this morning, I sat with a woman whose heart was heavy with worry. Had I not been here, she would have had to carry that weight alone. And this afternoon, a tired couple came by and they rested with me. They said they've been looking for a place just like this. And then an elder came by and we watched the birds in the branches together. And now you are here. You are confused about what the tree is about and how to be with it. Imagine if you had arrived and not found anyone here to talk with. You might have continued thinking that everything you do is all about you. Luckily for you, my friend, I'm here to let you know that when you take care of the tree of life, it becomes so much more than just about you. And the merchant sat for a while in the shade, thinking about these ideas that felt new and a little challenging, a little scary. As the sun went down, he picked up his bag and headed out of town, whistling a song he hadn't thought of in years. On his way, he shared a smile with every person he met, his heart feeling strangely light and joyful. And the people of the village, well, they continued to sustain the tree of life, to care for one another, and to share their gifts with grace and gratitude.
Every week, we take a good portion of our Sunday morning offering and give it away to a social justice cause outside our church walls. This month, we're supporting the good work of Prisoners Are People Too. Prisoners Are People Too educates the community about issues impacting incarcerated and formerly incarcerated individuals, with emphasis on the humanity of both the victim and the offender. You can make your offering with PayPal by going to our website at www.buffalouu.org and clicking on the blue Donate button. Or you can send a check by mail to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Buffalo, 695 Elmwood Avenue, Buffalo, New York, 14222. Excuse me. You can also arrange a regular automatic deposit with your bank. If yours is a gift to our Share the Plate ministry, please write share on the memo line, and it will be shared between Prisoners Are People Too and the church operating budget. If yours is a welcome gift to our congregation, please write Pledge 2020 on the memo line. Either way, please write UUCB on the important line, and we will do the bookkeeping. May our compassion fuel our generosity, and our generosity empower transformation.
The chance of a lifetime, this church has its canvas, this beautiful challenge, won't you lend a hand? For you are our lifeline, we need your commitment. If we're at a crossroads, will it be grim or grand? Enhance your own lifetime, invest in the future. Just give us the fuel, we'll fly on your wings. We're in this together, together we'll triumph. And so if we take this chance of a lifetime, I know we'll do great there's Reverend Montagnes, our sermon provider. Such wisdom inside her, an endless supply. And there's Sarah Martin for faith education. Our youth in good hands, it stands that our hearts are high. And leading the choir, the great Daniel Bassin. When he brings the brass in, that trumpet shall sound. We'll fight all injustice with your contributions. If you stay with us, this church of a lifetime will stay on solid ground.
Unitarian Universalism has given me a vision of the infinite.
Community.
I don't wonder what you are.
Unitarian Universalism has given me kindred spirits.
Unitarian Universalism means to me a loving community. It's brought me much joy and good loving friends.
Oh, hey there. Good to see you. Unitarian Universalism has given me a port in the storm, especially our little place on Elmwood Avenue.
For many years, the UU has been a place for my community, the LGBT community, to celebrate and be accepted and loved for who we are.
We are four people with four different spiritualities. Unitarian Universalism has given us a single spiritual home and given us faith and community.
The Unitarian Church has been my spiritual home for more than 30 years. I truly enjoy the services and the people. It gives me a chance to share my social values and my core values with others like myself. It's a wonderful place.
When I first walked into the Universalist Unitarian Church, I knew I'd found a new church home. The social and justice values shared, and the wonderful folks I've met that have become friends.
The UU Church gave us great classes to meet new friends.
Unitarian Universalism has given me a way to mark the different stages of my adult life, including getting married, which we did at the church, having children and having them dedicated, and then becoming pillars of the community through volunteering. And your turn.
Unitarian Universalism has given me a chance to exercise my artistic side with prints, bulletin boards, and signs for book sales.
Unitarian Universalism has given us a church home that we love. Right, everyone?
Yay!
Oh my goodness, that was so much fun. So nice to see everybody. Let's join our hearts and minds in a quiet moment of prayer and reflection and meditation. Let's join our hearts in wonder and gratitude. We have been given, my beloveds, a rich bounty of this faith tradition. Let's remember our spiritual ancestors, sainted and flawed as are we all. Our ancestors who lived and died, sustaining and recreating our religious community. For all of those, including you and your children, who have loved our church into being, a church that draws us together in memory, caring, hope, learning, healing, growing, and serving. For all of that and all of our gifts, we lift up our grateful hearts. Today, we especially hold in our hearts Leo Mitchell, who, whilst recovering from back surgery, has been met with the news that 5 members of his family, his close family, including his parents, have been diagnosed with COVID-19. We also hold in our hearts Ellie Lawson, who has recently suffered a major heart attack. She's at home recovering, and our hearts are with her. And now may we open our worship space to the names of all our loved ones, suffering in sorrow and celebrating in joy, each name a breath, each breath a prayer. The breath of nature is upon us. The spirit of life is within us. The community of love is among us. So be it. Blessed be. And let the church say, Amen. Once upon a time, 450 years ago, give or take, in Poland, there was a band of religious dissenters who called themselves the Polish Brethren. This wild bunch of heretics openly challenged the doctrine of the Trinity, you know, the whole God, Father, and Son, and Holy Spirit thing. They said, there's just no scriptural basis for the Trinity. We believe in one God, they said. They also rejected infant baptism, saying that only grown-ups can choose what religion they are, and no baby comes into the world needing to be washed of sin. They also rejected divine foreknowledge as incompatible with human free will and moral responsibility. They replaced this concept of an unchanging God with a new understanding of a deity who responds over time to worldly events. So I ask you, does any of this sound familiar? Does any of this sound familiar? The idea that maybe there's a unity of a God instead of a Trinity, that maybe children shouldn't be baptized because they have to choose their faith later on when they're maybe more developed, more mature, and that maybe babies come into the world perfectly good the way they are, with inherent worth and dignity. And this idea of predestination kind of gets in the way of our free will and moral responsibilities. Any of that sound familiar to you? It should. The Polish Brethren were proto-Unitarians. They were the sproutlings of our religious ancestors. Well, these brethrens, these nutty brethrens, they weren't just brethrens, they were all kinds of people. They carved these classless communes. They had nobles and commoners together, men and women sharing the work of different kinds of work. They carved these classless communes out of the Polish wilderness and established an academy and a printing press. They published a stream of revolutionary ideas in theology, ethics, socio-political philosophy. And they went on to establish some 300 congregations throughout the land. Wow. You know, when you start making a bit of a stink, people begin to notice. And yeah, the Catholic Counter-Reformation began to notice that those wild brethren with all their dangerous ideas were beginning to shake things up. And you know what happens when you start shaking things up? Some people get nervous. And when some people get nervous, they get scared. And when some people get scared, they get mean. By 1660, the Polish Brethren were almost completely wiped out through forced conversion, exile, burnings at the stake, and wholesale slaughter. Fortunately, a few of the sproutling Unitarian Universalist Church members tramped like Maria von Trapp and her family over the mountains to hide out in the Carpathian Principality of Transylvania. True story. And there our spiritual ancestors survived. Not only did they survive, in fact, they thrived. Let's jump forward to the early 19th century. Reverend William Ellery Channing, the great dawn of New England liberal religion, was accused, along with all of his followers, of being heaven offend one of those heretical Unitarians. And you know what Channing said? He said, "You're darn tootin' we're Unitarians. We believe in one God, the unity of God, and that God is moral and doesn't go around damning babies or anyone else to eternal torment. And we believe that Jesus was God. Oh, sorry, was not God. I got to get this right. Jesus was not God, but human, a child of the divine, just like the rest of us. And moreover, we don't need no stinking creed to be people of faith and worship together in love." Does any of this sound familiar? It should. It should. Well, let me tell you, Channing's affirmation of our heritage caused quite a hullabaloo. Congregations split in half. They lost members. Harvard University exploded in a theological controversy, and all the conservatives headed off to Andover and Yale. Everyone was afraid. They were all asking, "Oh no, if we take on this new radical change, will we lose our church? Will members leave?" And the answer was yes and no. They lost some and they gained some. The church was transformed. And not only did our faith survive, it thrived. And the same thing happened with the women's suffrage movement and the civil rights movement and the Vietnam War. Our members felt threatened by radical change to the status quo, and they fought with each other, and congregations split up, and members left, and the faithful remembered their values, that every person has inherent worth and dignity, and that we're connected in mystery and miracle, and that when injustice threatens any single one of us, it threatens all of us. And you know what? In spite of all of these threats to our living tradition, we have not only survived, we've thrived. Today, we build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves by fires we did not light. We sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. We drink from wells we did not dig. Our spiritual ancestors, even with their limited vision, their flaws and their mistakes, our spiritual ancestors gave us this faith. Our church resounds with the echoes of generations, laughter, conversations, dreams, prayers, and songs. And today, we have become a people living our ancestors' faith in ways that our ancestors could never have dreamed of. Only our children can dream what we might become. Yeah, today we're all feeling a little anxious, a little threatened by political rancor and by the coronavirus and by the effects of climate change. Many of us are uneasy about the radical change to our culture as the voices of Black people, people of color, and Indigenous people are finally being heard. Threatened. Oh my goodness, what does it mean to defund the police? Yes, change is in the air. Change is in the air. Physical distancing has made us almost as uneasy as the plague itself. Yes, these are challenging, scary times. And yet I know we will not only survive these tumultuous days, we will thrive. That's just what we do. Today, You heard from a bunch of people who told us what Unitarian Universalism has given them. What has Unitarian Universalism given you? What has Unitarian Universalism given you? Feel free to put that in the chat. Have a little conversation. I'm just going to keep going here, but yammering away to myself. But you guys talk amongst yourselves. What has Unitarian Universalism given you? Together, we are more than any one person could be. Together, we can build across the generations. Together, we can renew our hope and faith in a life that is yet to unfold. Together, we can heed the call to a ministry of care and justice that is our heritage today, that is our tomorrow. We are keepers of this tree, our church, because our church is where we are nourished. It's where some of our most precious memories are, and where our people have dreamed. Our church is where we remember who we want to become. Today we build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves by fires we did not light. We sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. We drink from wells we did not dig. We are keepers, protectors, sustainers of this church that we didn't even begin. We didn't start it. And yet I ask you to think about what the faith has given you and what that gift is worth to you. Even in these days of Zoom, even in these days of Zoom when we all feel so distant and all this stuff is happening on kind of a two-dimensional screen, even in these days of Zoom, we are not only keeping our beloved church building healthy, we are repairing and improving it with coats of paint, technology, roofing, and more. We have managed to keep on all our extremely hardworking and excellent staff members. Sarah Martin is putting on a dynamic, creative, and original children and youth ministry for over 70. That is 70 kids and their families with the help of dozens of incredible volunteer teachers. The unparalleled Daniel Bass and Jonathan Vogdal, Jesse Downs, Helen Lowry, Matthew Spalding, and Michael Harris bring their awesome talents to your homes every single Sunday and bring our choir together every Wednesday night. I can't even begin to tell you about the outstanding efforts of Donna Sense, our financial goddess, Ashley Mountcancel, our admin genius, and Sarah Kirkland, our gatekeeper. And what about Julie Van Wert, Beryl Smith, Chuck Battaglia, and all the Covenant Group facilitators and our worship associates, Fran Manley, Julie Taylor, and Charlene Montgomery, and the phenomenal folks behind the scenes, John Petroselli, Josh Disick, Justin DeClean, Bobby Withrow, and Karen Streech. And by the way, Karen also produces the newsletter. And the Justice Ministry, directed by Denise DePietro, and the Pastoral Care Ministry with our lay pastoral ministers, Karen Jarvis, Bobby Baker, Lynn Mancuso, John Marone. The Good for List Angel, Josette Cunningham. The Pastoral Care and Support Team led by Ginny Vaughn. Speaking of Ginny, she also is the chair of the Universal Access and Inclusion Ministry that is waking us all up to radical hospitality. And Tony Keller, Philly Nicolai, Charlie Cars, Athena McCrory, and Bridget Evans, who bring our garden to gorgeous life and welcome the whole city into our sacred space. And the music ministry team, also led by Phil Nicolai. And our restorative justice practice peace circles, led by Sharon Walker, and the board chaired by Doug Sherman, and all the advisory committees to the board chaired by Tom Muka, Diane Pockroth, Molly Quackenbush, Ken Manley, Carol Condon, and the fearless Tracy Kassman, who chairs the reopening task force. I had better stop now, and I apologize. I know I left somebody off the list, and I apologize to you, particularly if I left you off the list. But I think you got the picture. Our church, even in this time of zoominess, our church is buzzing with life. And I hope you notice that not many of those names were repeated. It takes a whole village to keep, sustain, and protect our faith. And even in these tumultuous days, our congregation is not only surviving, it is thriving. And it will continue to thrive as we take on all the love and enrichment we've been given by Unitarian Universalism over the centuries and pay it forward. Oh yeah, you can put a $ on every line item in the budget, and we have. But the bottom line is that giving to the living tradition of which we are a part is priceless. This is an absolutely shameless pledge drive sermon. Not only am I shameless, I am thrilled to celebrate our congregational life with you. And I'm thrilled that so far we have collected about $178,000 in pledges from about 35 members and friends to support the 2021 church year. Each of those generous donors said, yes, I will keep, protect, and sustain this church so we can thrive. I want to give to this faith that has given me so much. I want our living faith to grow through this challenging time into a faith so alive, so juicy and sweet that it's beyond my wildest dreams. I want this church to be here for my children and their children and all the generations stretching to the farthest horizon. I want our church to not only survive, but thrive. Now, if you've already given to the church, if you've already made your pledge of financial commitment for the 2021 church year, I thank you. You make the rockin' church go round. If you have yet to make your pledge, I invite you to think about what Unitarian Universalism has given to you. And I invite you to think about the generations that are yet to come and give from your heart, not until it hurts, but until it feels so very, very good. A quick note, we are aware that this has been a difficult year and you may not feel comfortable making a pledge. Just let me know. Give me a ring, send me an email, text, whatever. Just let me know. And you won't be bothered by any more letters or phone calls. Just by being you, you contribute to the wealth of this congregation. Thank you. Our faith arises out of a proud heritage of heresy and protest. Our radical values of love and justice will continue to pit us against all power structures that deny equity. No question, we've got a long struggle ahead. But be joyful, my best beloveds, be joyful. Because the arc of history may be long, but together, as we not only survive the struggle, but thrive together, we will bend that arc toward justice and our children's children will live in a better world because of what we do today. Let's join in singing When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
As we bring our service to a close, let us say together the words for extinguishing our chalice. As we extinguish the flame of this chalice, may we carry its light with us into the world in the power of peace, faith, justice, and love.
My best beloveds, let us continue to sustain, keep, and protect the tree of life. Take care of one another, and remember to share our gifts with grace and gratitude. Remember, you're not alone. Remember, you're blessed. Remember, you are a blessing. And above all else, I'll say it again. Remember, you're not alone. You are never alone. So be it. Blessed be. And let the church say, Amen.